Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome back to another high level game. At the bottom left spawning as the blue Zerg player playing for Team Alpha X. It's going to be Ragnarok. And at the top right spawning as the red Zerg playing for Kaizi Gaming. It of course is Solar here. A ZVZ of the ages. Perhaps a ZVZ to decide who the better Zerg player is in Korea. So I think we could have a legitimate debate on whether Ragnarok or Solar is better right at this moment. And performance-wise, I think that some people might say, well, Ragnarok has been performing pretty well recently. His ladder ranking has increased a fair amount as well. He could be the third Zerg in Korea. Of course, DRG is also still somewhere around that level. I think historically we've seen Solar as the third Zerg behind Rogue and Dark. But these days Ragnarok definitely makes a case for himself. I guess in some way this is a match for the third best Zerg in Korea. I wouldn't mind saying that. Of course, just playing one game and over one matchup isn't a great indicator of someone's overall skill, but it's still annoying to lose to someone that's kind of a direct rival for that third place position in Korea. I think Solar would feel it that way. So both of these players will take this rather serious. Hatch first, starting for both as well. I've been enjoying ZVZ a lot lately. I think the more you get to understand and know about this matchup, the better it is to watch, and also the more fun it is to play. I've been fiddling around with Zerg a bit lately, some of you might know, and just trying to study these build orders and how they interact with one another. It can be very interesting. I think it's the part I like the most about StarCraft, is that theoretical aspect, where there is some coin flips, but there's also just a lot of theory on what the correct responses are against certain things, and to me, it's the most fun often when someone plays something that is considered improper, a theoretically unsound build order, and that it gets shut down really hard by a proper defense. I think there's almost nothing more beautiful in StarCraft 2 than just a proper defense. Units in the correct positions, the correct amount of units, and then backed up by mechanical superiority. I think all of these things together is the absolute, is the greatest thing. And in ZVZ, you can have these things. You can see Ling bane attacks completely fall flat on their face if the defense is proper. However, if the defense is improper, and this can happen in the blink of an eye, you can lose 10-12 Lings to a bane Ling. That can completely change the game. So we see Solar opening up with a couple of Lings, and it's always fun to see how and where people build the Lings from. So optimally, you always want to be building Lings from your main base, if you're not planning on building a whole lot of Lings. The reason for that is because if you build Lings from your natural base, and then you build drones from your main base, the drones will need to travel further, and thus it's economically less sound. Here we see, by the way, something that probably could be considered not super optimal here out of Ragnarok. He's building a lot of Lings, and he wants to force a mistake out of his opponent. If Solar defends this completely properly, has banelings in the right positions, uses his queens wisely as well, he should come ahead out of this. However, it's never as easy as it looks. We have the full vision as the observer, of course. Solar isn't even aware that there's banelings morphing in at this point. He isn't aware that there's 3 banelings morphing on the left side either, so he's going to need to respond from 2 sides at the same time. And let's see how exactly he's going to be doing that. Right now, see some defensive banelings moving around. I think he spotted the banes in the naturals. There was a queen in position there. Yep, he is seeing that. Loses some of his own morphing banelings. There's still a lot of Lings available here for Ragnarok. This first person really is giving a good look how difficult this type of defense is. There's still 4 banes running around here for Ragnarok that we can see. And that makes it difficult for Solar to get a proper defense up. He hasn't lost a lot of workers yet, and Ragnarok is still holding down the Zergling button, creating more and more banelings as well on Solar side of the map. And this third base isn't necessarily that, but I think some of these drones are going to fall right now. So the banelings are moving in position to get some good detonations. More Lings are streaming in. 2 banelings still alive. Can we get some focus fire on these banes out of the queen? No, the queen will fall before that can happen. The banelings do end up connecting with, well, not too many Lings. As the first roaches are coming out of the larva right now, I do believe that Solar is getting closer and closer to having a hold. The question is the damage that was inflicted on him too much? Or are we here in a pretty even situation? The third base is still alive. Missile attacks +1 is about to finish up. Supplies are equal. We see no queens whatsoever for Solar, so he needs to invest a lot of money in rebuilding these. He already has 2 coming up right now. There is a Rose Run on the way for Ragnarok. Ragnarok is going to be down in upgrades, which is annoying, but also not the end of the world, because Solar can't continue upgrading. There's no lair yet, and thus he can start his +2 attack. He will first need to get his carapace upgrades if he wants to continue having a kind of an extended upgrade lead. Ragnarok, on the other hand, already going into the lair as well, is droning up, and we actually see a slight drone lead here for Ragnarok. Still has a lot of links on the map, and with those he can perhaps do something, whether that is counterattacking or using them defensively to tackle this type of roach force that Solar was trying to send across the map. Solar really was just trying to force out a couple of units, and it did succeed. 3-4 roaches did get built. These are, of course, units that should have been drones, but Ragnarok was just playing it safe, making sure that he couldn't die against some type of roach, Ling, bane aggression here, as that would have been extremely powerful coming out of Solar. These 2 Lings are going for a scout, and Ragnarok is trying to deny it. The reason why he tries to deny it isn't necessarily because he is hiding something, but it's often important to make your opponent believe that you are hiding something. It can be just as good to make your opponent believe that you're playing Spire when you're not playing Spire, as to make him believe that you're playing Roaches when you are actually playing Mutas. And in this case, he actually will be playing Mutalisk. His opponent is also going for the Spire. The question that is on my mind right now is, are we going to see some type of Corruptor play here, or will both players open up with Mutalisk? We have seen in the past things like Roaches into Corruptor against Ling Bane Muta. And kind of that Roach Corruptor push as a timing, and then if the Muta player gets to too high of a Mutalisk count, the Roach Corruptor player will lose. You're going to use the Corruptors to push away the Mutas and the Roaches to do the damage on the ground. +2 is on the way here for Ragnarok, so I think he just wants to build 9 to 10 Mutalisk and then transition out of it. We don't have an Overseer. Oh no, actually we do have 2 Overseers. And look at this this usage here of the Queens. Trying his absolute best to deny that vision. And he actually succeeded. At the same time, we have Ragnarok scouting his opponent's Spire. So Ragnarok does succeed in scouting the Spire. Now the question is, what is Ragnarok going to do about this? Ragnarok, first of all, he cancelled his +2. So he probably wants to have more gas for Mutalisk. I like that call. Solar just built a big amount of roaches. It's up to 22 already, and just gets 4 Mutas. So if this comes down to a Mutalisk war, Ragnarok is winning that right now. The gas income is extremely similar, as both players are on 6 gases. And when it comes to the Muta war, gas is always going to be the limiting factor, of course. Because, ooh, we get a cancel, waste a couple of banelings on that, try to get it sniped. The Mutalisk costs 100 minerals, 100 gas. As you can see here on the bottom side, the mineral income is always way higher than the gas income, which means that the limiting factor of massive Mutas is always going to be the gas. So it's nice that even if you have like 80 drones mining minerals, but you're only on 6 gas, that doesn't really tend to matter too much. Solar is still extremely unaware of the fact that there's Mutas on Ragnarok's side as well. Solar did just start building some Corruptors, so I think he scouted them. Ooh, this is a big chunk of Overlords here that's going to fall. Roaches, however, are going to start marching across the map and might allow these Overlords an opportunity to go back home. Yeah, these Mutas need to really return home, try to catch some of these Roaches. The Roach count for Solar is a lot higher than what Ragnarok is working in. Corruptors are being built, and we have 8 out soon. Now with 8 Corruptors, there's definitely potential here for a push, and we see Ragnarok switch into a more Ling Bane style. You see that? Immediately the moment he realizes he's going to be the one with the Mutalisk lead, he says, okay, I don't want to actually build Roaches anymore. I want to go into Lings with +1. Now that he sees the Corruptors, I think he should know exactly what's going on. I wouldn't mind having 1 or 2 spores here as well. Okay, he's gonna get 1 spore at least at home. Not quite sure why it's in the mineral line. Same time, big Ling run by into his opponent's base, going for the snipe on the Spire. If he gets that could be potentially huge. I mean, if the Spire dies, there's not going to be any more Corruptors to help fight off these Mutalisk. Is this Spire actually going to fall? I think the answer is yes! Oof, the final 2-3 shots there out of these Zerglings. Spire as well as the spawning pool going down. Now, spawning pool, of course, not as big of a deal, because Solar is not really planning on building Lings. Solar's mainly... Ooh, Infestation Pit. So rather than going for a timing attack here, I think Solar actually wants to go into... Well, is it a late game, really? It might still be like a mid-game timing with Infestors, but he's going to use these Corruptors defensively to defend his bases, rather than to use them aggressively to push across the map. That is interesting. That's not something we usually see Corruptors being used for. There's 14 Corruptors out, and if Solar manages to tech either into Hive and get Vipers out, or get a couple of Infestors out, this game could really turn on its head. What do I prefer here, actually? Do I like Infestors more or Vipers? Viper is more of a consistent unit. You get a Parabomb off and you force your opponent to disengage. With a Fungal, if you don't hit the correct Fungals, you can still just get absolutely blasted. And the Mutalisk count here is just growing super large. 8 gases being mined for Ragnarok. 8 masses also being mined here for Solar. Solar is about to max out. Starts a Hive after the 4 Infestors. So perhaps the Infestor is more of an intermediate step, getting into that Hive. Once Infestor and Vipers are there, that combination can be so darn deadly. These Mutalisk are looking for some damage. We'll be able to snipe one of these Spores. I don't quite think that Solar can engage into these. He's going to lose his base if he isn't careful. Even if he is careful, he's going to lose that base. Corruptors now are trying to engage this army, but that's not a fight that Solar should be capable of taking, and probably shouldn't be wanting to take either. Now tries to hide into safety, but Spores are too shottable at this point by these Mutalisk. There is no +1 attack yet on these Mutas, but once there is, the damage output of these bad boys is just going to be a little bit too much. Of course, Solar still has a chance here, because these Vipers that are going to pop out in a couple of seconds, with the 800 gas that he has, can build most likely 4 Vipers. And that means that there's still an ability for him to kill all these Mutas. A Fungal, Parasitic Bomb, or both. But even just a single Fungal could really change the tide of battle already. Ooh, his Lings are trying to move in. Infestor not quite in position to block them out. Lings will get in the base, and these bad boys have +1. I don't think they're going to be capable of actually taking out anything big. And this might just be a big loss of Lings here. The Hydralisk then is being targeted. It's not going to get taken out though. So Hydralisk then will finish. Doesn't really matter. Ooh! Gets a hit on 2 of these Mutas. And although this doesn't look super impactful, getting 2 Mutalisk is still... Well, okay, Ragnarok actually has a crap ton of money. Okay, he's really rich. I didn't quite realize that. Oh boy, he has a lot of drones. He's working with 10 gas as well against 6 gas. However, I'm still of the opinion that a single bad fight, a single Parasitic Bomb, can really change the tide of battle here. As these Mutalisks are starting to fly into the main base, there's no Infestors in position. The Vipers are flying away as well. Spores get 1 shot at this point almost. +2 attack is not on the way yet. I'm surprised. Look how much money he has. I think the logical transition will be the Ultralisk Cavern here for Ragnarok. Also getting a bunch of banelings. Ooh, these roaches are completely caught out of position, and with the damage output that these Mutas have, that could be an issue. Here come a couple of Fungals. Big Fungal hits on 7, 8 of these Mutas. I think it was 9 actually. Not the quickest counter in the world. So Ragnarok is going to try to turn around, but he can't really. Banelings now will start marching into this 3rd base. That 3rd base is absolute toast. Hatchery will just get taken out. Ragnarok's losing a lot of supply though. The Ultralisk Cavern isn't quite done. Just a huge Parasitic Bomb. Absolutely massive. I think this is the timing that Solar has been waiting for. Sure, he isn't maxed, but this is as good as it's going to get. He has +2 attack. He has his Carapace upgrade. He's getting a couple of extra Ravagers. Ultralisk Cavern isn't quite done yet. Corruptors are moving forward. There's 16 Mutalisk left. That's not enough to even deal with these Corruptors. He needs to have these Corruptors though with his main army. Ragnarok's losing a lot of Banelings. There is no Ultras on the way yet. He's also kind of out of money right now. These Corruptors are doing a fantastic job. It's all going to come down to these Fungals. Will the Fungals connect with the Banelings? And if so, will they connect in a big way? Or just small chunks on Banelings? That's a first big Fungal. Oh, huge Fungals on the Banelings here. Absolutely massive Fungals. First 3 Ultras are on the way. These Ultras, however, are going to be split. And if this army is in one position, it's kind of clumped up, and there's no Banelings to force it to kind of split, this could be very bad. I wouldn't even mind seeing like a run-by with 20-30 Lings here out of Ragnarok. Ragnarok has good upgrades, and he has a lot of money. If he can connect with the Fungalers, that would be big already. A couple of Infestors are going to get taken out here. Ragnarok with a good trade. Don't forget that a lot of the army supply is right now in Corruptors and Vipers, which aren't necessarily the most useful units to have. Sure, they can take out Overlords, and honestly, that's not even that bad of a thing. If you can kill 20, 30 Overlords, that's great, but this army supply is all fake. It's all in the air. There's 10 Corruptors, 3 Vipers, there's 7 Roaches and 2 Hydras. There's also not that much here for Ragnarok. Ragnarok's just gonna start moving across the map with absolutely everything. Vipers are trying to regain the energy. There's a single Mutalisk here moving across the map. Corruptors will be capable of taking out bases as well. This is the weirdest semi-base that I've seen in my life. We need to see a cancel. No cancel. Solar can't afford that type of mistake here. He just doesn't have the money to afford that. This Ultralisk, however, also can't really be afforded to be given up for free. The Corruptors are still continuing their reign of terror. Evil Chamber gets taken out, so these Ultras get to escape. The Overlord count has decreased a lot, and if these Overlords can if these Corruptors can take out 6, 7 more Overlords, that would be a huge issue here. Solar outmining his opponent at this moment and still has these Corruptors ready to potentially kill another base. If he really wants to, he can just start peeing on this left side hatchery. There's really nothing that Ragnarok can do about this. I don't understand why these Corruptors are going back home. It's not like they can suddenly start attacking the ground. We're gonna need to see some very solid control though out of Solar. Queens are coming in as well. Perhaps you can use the buildings to block a little bit. Transfuses are being used. Good control, good target fire. I'm not quite sure if it's going to be enough though. The +2 on the range is helping out against the Roaches of Ragnarok. But the Ultras just tank way too much. And I think Solar, who all of his army right now is just in air units, will need to tap out. GG gets skulled, and Ragnarok wins this absolute banger of a ZVZ. This was actually kind of crazy. For a while, it felt like here that if Solar really felt like he had it for a second. I think he got a little bit too confident and he really didn't get any Fungals anymore. Just started running away with the Infestors. I also believe that at this point, if he just moves kind of towards this right side a bit earlier to take out bases, and these Corruptors focus on taking out this hatchery and this hatchery, which they definitely could have, he can just go back home and start mining. I think there's some potential there. It's of course hard to say, and these decisions are so hard to make, but there was some potential here for him to win. In the end, Ragnarok is going to take the big fat dub. That's going to be it from me as well. Thanks everyone so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully I'll see all of you once again in the future. Thanks so much for watching, and bye-bye.